Welcome to another episode of Life on Mars. I'm Àlex, CEO and founder of MarsBased, and this is a very special episode because I will not be interviewing anybody. In this case, we're repurposing the interview that was done by Bernat Farrero, who's one of the founders of Itnig, former CEO of Cameloon, and who interviewed me at an event they were hosting. They host a pitching session for startups every Thursday in Barcelona for Itnig Fund One. For the full disclosure, I'm also a partner of that fund. So if you want to join us or join Itnig in this pitching competition, it's great. There's a networking event, after work event, 7 p.m. on Thursdays in Barcelona. You can also join it online, either just to view it or to pitch for your startup, looking for early stage startups who want to take over the world and with technology, and very, very passionate and hungry entrepreneurs and a very, very good founding team and scalable products. So feel free to check them out. In this conversation, actually, Bernat kidnapped me for a 10, 12 minutes fireside chat, improvised fireside chat. I was not told that was going to happen, but I guess that's part of the organic kind of content that they want to have, and one of the things we share in common with the Itnig philosophy. And so we speak about MarsBased, our business economics. We speak about our relationship with the clients, what kind of contracts we have, some funny stories, some anecdotes, our churn as a company, if there's something like that, our employee retention. We also speak about my investments, my relationship to Startup Grind personally and also on a company level. So this is a very refreshing content, a little bit more digestible for the summer season. I'll leave you with it.
Today we have Àlex. Àlex, can you explain us who you are in a minute?
I don't even know I'm 34 and still don't know who I am, but I'll try. I'm a computer scientist, 34 years old, CEO and founder of MarsBased, which is a software development consultancy from Barcelona, all remote, 20 people, completely bootstrapped because it's an agency after all. And I also run the Startup Grind events in Barcelona, where I interview founders and entrepreneurs in Barcelona. I've interviewed a few people in this room, especially you were the first. And I also do a little bit of business angel on the side.
Great. Okay, one of the things that you tend to say is that you love bootstrap businesses, and you built a bootstrap business yourself. A few days ago, you tweeted that you have 150K MRR, and you're a bootstrap company. How can you be an agency and have MRR?
Yeah, that's tricky, right? Why? Because normally agencies, they work on fixed bid projects, right? They work on projects that are like, I don't know, this project's going to be 60K and three months of work, something like that. We don't. We work on retainer with all of our clients. Therefore, our revenue is predictable, and most of our clients come from the first or the second year of the company. So what we keep is just accumulating companies that work with us. And therefore, what we do with the companies is agree on a fixed dedication per week, and then we start charging them for that. So basically, I don't know, maybe for every company, on average, we have at least one full-time developer for them working on an ongoing engagement. So it's not like you hire me for 3 months work. We might do a first phase where we try each other, but then it's ongoing. Like normally we sign yearly contracts, but the truth is, we've never had anybody dropping this in the 7 years that we've got as a company.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So you don't have churn?
We have had churn where companies have died. But usually, I think so far in 7 years, we have never had any client who has said, okay, this doesn't work, we're going to internalize this, or we're going to switch providers. So basically, they just stick with us.
Okay. Have you ever thought of building a product yourself?
Yeah. Before going into that, one of the main things we do is that we tend to prove our trust and our skill very early on, and we get into the core development of the companies, right? So once you get into the core, basically and things work well, it's very difficult for clients to say like, well, they're working on the core already, so let's not teach them, right? Also, they're good.
So you define a margin per customer.
Yeah.
And you get a developer.
Yeah.
And you already know your economics forever because they don't churn.
Yeah.
It's quite easy to make a model like this.
No? On theory, yes.
The more customers you have, you find developers, you get more money, more EBITDA?
Precisely. Yes and no, because one tends to think that if I have 2 clients, I have this amount of revenue. If I double that, I will double my revenue. Truth is, it's not like that. It decreases over time because you have more structure. And even in the company we're hiring now that we're 20 people, we have 3, 4, almost 5 people who are non-billable, non-productive, right? Because they're management. We've got an office manager. We've got me who just do the sales. And we've got 16, 17 developers out of these 22 people that we are. So these 17 people have to pay for 5 people who are non-billable, right? Now we'll be hiring a marketing person, which I cannot bill for that person, right? So it's not exactly like that, but we still have got a lot of elbow room for our margin.
You disclosed your 150K of MRR?
125.
Okay.
125K.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
125. Okay, I didn't remember. Do you disclose your EBITDA as well?
Yeah. I'm not a numbers guy, and I was not prepared for this. He told me, like, by the way, we've got a fireside chat, and you're in. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, I know you're going to ask me numbers, but I don't run the numbers in the company. That's why the company is working, and it's alive, right? Our margin at the end of the year tends to be between 20 and 30%. If I remember correctly, but I'm not exactly sure. But I think we're going to share it actually, because I think it's Bewater that they have a list of profitable companies with no investment, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be featured on that, and we sent the information last week. So we should be on Bewater on this classification very early, and it's there.
Very, very good economics, so congratulations.
Thank you.
You consider building a product yourself?
Yeah, we did 2 years ago, because, the grass is always greener on the other side, right? When you're in services, you want to do product. When you're a product, you want to do services, right? And so we thought of an idea. We pitched it to potential clients. We got, good feedback. People saying like, yeah, just build it. We're going to pay. We can even like give you some money in advance and whatever. However, when we decided to start that, I think it was 2 days afterwards, we lost our biggest client because of a financial problem. Basically, that was, the project went on hold, so that's why we didn't count that as churn, because we continued working for them. But because they're a consultancy who was hired by a big player, that big player stopped paying. They were owed like 3 million euro. And so they said like, guys, they owe us 3 million euro. We cannot pay you anymore, right? We're not a bank. And so we decided to put it on hold as well, the project, because we lost 5 people overnight that they needed to be reassigned to other projects. So we pushed sales. Then, of course, we sold too much. Then we needed to hire more people. So therefore, the priority of developing the product went down in the priorities list. And so after a year and a half, we still hadn't gotten it back up to the first position. It's like, it's difficult. In one of your very last podcast episodes, you were discussing this with some, I don't remember the name.
Jordi Plana.
Correct, yeah. Really good. But they succeeded in doing that because they took the different approach, the opposite approach that we would have taken. They said, we're going to move our best people to the product, and we're going to leave the worst people in the company with our clients, which is terrible. I saw that as like, this is fucking despicable, but it's not aligned with our philosophy. Our philosophy is the best developers go, we only hire best developers, right? But we wouldn't do this move of like moving a developer for another project just because we need it, right? There needs to be an agreement. We only rotate people out of the client if both parties are aligned with that, if we agree, right? So we couldn't do that. And so, no, in our case, we wanted to only have the people who were not assigned to projects for whatever reason, and we hired other people to do that. Even we were outsourcing part of it to freelancers. Therefore, when you lose a client and you lose a significant part of your revenue, the first thing you do is ditch the freelancers, right? So that's why we didn't have enough people to do it.
Jordi Plana was incredibly honest, so
really?
that we really appreciated that, and he made it. No, he built a product that worked and scaled, and he decided to put his best resource into this product and jump off the cliff. And sometimes that's what it takes.
But fuck the clients, right?
Well,
he was tired of the clients, but
he changed his model, his business model.
And
for real.
Yeah.
You run something called Startup Grind. What's that?
It's Startup Grind is kind of like a franchise. It's kind of like that, but without being that cheesy. We run a monthly event in every city in the world. I think we're over. We should be close to 700 cities in 135 different countries, where we host monthly events where we interview entrepreneurs and investors. Right? In Barcelona, prior to the pandemic, so our last event in person was last February. It had been our event number 74.
Okay.
And it's a franchise. So what we do is we run it inside of the company. I have a franchise contract with Startup Grind. and basically I pay a fee to belong to that, to have those, the rights of deployment.
There's a lot of people following it, attending it in every session. Like
Yeah.
how long? How many?
Yeah, in Barcelona we've got 7,000 subscribers to the newsletter, and prior to, our average of people were 153 paid people per event, which, considering that we are Catalans, it's very remarkable.
Do you make money with this?
Yeah, because it's not a non-profit, but I run it as a non-profit. I don't want to set it as a non-profit because I don't want to set another thing. We run it inside the company. So what we do is we keep a separate account, and what I do is I reinvest everything in Startup Grind. Okay. So we've got a team of volunteers. What I make is volunteers. We go to a conference because there's some happenings of Startup Grind, a conference in London, in San Francisco every year. So part of the proceeds of Startup Grind go to that. We do some donations to NGOs as well, participate in charity, and then basically, cover the cost of the volunteering team. And then we pay also speakers to pay. Every third speaker, we used to have somebody coming in from another country to speak in our event.
The cost of the volunteering team, how can it be? Are they volunteers or they have a cost?
No, I mean, they do have a cost in which we pay for their t-shirts, we pay for taxis, we pay for. We do network every 2 weeks. We meet for dinner and things like that. So it's very. No, it's it does. You don't have to pay to belong to Startup Grind. If you're in the team, we've got a team of 8. It's like, hey, whatever thing you need to pay for to get involved in our our events, our meetings, whatever, you can expense that.
Okay, I think you're doing a remarkable job with it. You're building the ecosystem which we really need to build. You have very good speakers, except for some. The first.
We started in Itnig, by the way. So shout out, thank you for allowing us to be. We started there, our very first event. First 3 events we did there. So thank you for that.
You invest on the site as well?
Yeah.
How does it work?
I started in 2015 because one of my best friends basically told me that he had invested in Cantox, right, through this platform. It's called Lánzame, which is a pledge fund. Non-professional investors, they can go there and they receive a series of kind of like a crowdfunding for non-professional investors, right? And he had made an incredible return, and I had been thinking of investing, right? And funnily enough, my first investment happens to involve beer. I don't know if I've got time enough to. You want me to explain that?
Sure.
Yeah. So basically, I did a terrible fuck up in which I lost 1,000 euros in a weekend because of too much beer. Let's leave it like that. And I said, every time I fuck up like this big time, I will invest the same amount of money in a startup. So I invested 1,000 euros in Cantox thanks to Lánzame. Then I did a couple more investments through Lánzame. And so they've got a lot of fees because it's kind of like you pay for service, they invest for you. It's great. Their deal flow, the track record is very good, but it's a lot of fees, right? And after 3-4 years of running my own company, doing Startup Grind, having a lot more visibility, I started getting invited into invite-only insider rounds from famous entrepreneurs, and I said, I'd rather do this. I'd rather invest directly in companies like that. That's how I got involved in Mailtrack, Hireflakes that we have also invested in Itnig. What else? 8Feet, which I didn't do because I did Cantox, but I could have invested in that, so it's part of my anti-portfolio. So now,
what is your best company so far?
Should be Mailtrack, probably. I mean, no, it's my company. Your best investment, it's always your company.
Other than your company.
Other than your company. It's probably Mailtrack. I invested in a company in San Francisco that's called Upstock. That's going very well, which is basically, it allows companies to distribute shares based on performance to their employees, which is created by the founder of Couchsurfing. That's going pretty well as well. So far also, through Itnig, I have invested in a few companies, of course. Out of I think I've done about 20 investments. So no startup has died yet, which I think it's very remarkable too.
Sorry, I keep asking that, but did you make any money so far?
Not yet. I got my first exit, which is kind of like a fake exit, came 2-3 weeks ago. A company called Vogdoni. It's basically kind of like electronic voting on the blockchain. Was acquired by an undisclosed amount. Basically, they ran out of money. They were absorbed by Aragon. So I will be happy if Aragon gives me stock. in exchange for that. So no money yet as an angel investor. So I keep just squandering money, but I'd rather squander money on startups than on beer.
Great. How can people get to you?
I'm on Twitter all day. If you follow me, you will see that I'm just tweeting all day. That's people tell me like, how do you do it? How do you run a company and Startup Grind and a podcast and a blog and this and that, and you're on Twitter all day? It's precisely because I don't get to work. My main job is business development. I have to speak with people. I have to be visible. That's part of my value, right? So it's expanding my network in many, many dimensions, creating content, and being top of the mind of people. Therefore, I need to be very active also on communications. So Twitter, Àlex@MarsBased.com, Àlex@startupgrind.com. That's me. I've got, funnily enough, the other day I got a question that was, what's the funniest way that you have been reached out as an investor? I got a pitch deck on Instagram 2 or 3 weeks ago. So somebody told me I spoke at an event, and they posted on Instagram, and they're like, okay, can I connect with you on Instagram? And this pitch deck there. It was funny. I thought it was quite funny.
Not in Tinder yet.
Not on Tinder, but funnily enough, I've seen a lot of people from the scene on Tinder. So actually, that's one of the questions I make, because I say like, it's weird that how people, maybe the new generations, we cross-pollinate and we cross borders more easily. And right now with some people that, you go to an event and you connect on LinkedIn, then you connect on Facebook. It's like, why did you do that, right? But yeah, I have happened to match with a couple of people that, funnily enough, a couple of weeks ago, it happened as well that I matched with somebody who says like, oh, I know you spoke at an event and I was there, and the other's like, okay, that's not a good start, but yeah, so that happens too.
Did it work?
Partially.
No need to answer.
Partially. Transparency is one of my core values. I don't have anything to hide, so.
Okay, thank you very much, Àlex.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.